Here we go. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Richert Belul with Simply Celebrate, and I'm super excited to be talking to Brooke today. Brooke Erickson is a functional holistic nutritionist, and she helps people who are exhausted and disconnected from their bodies to get to the root cause and feel like ourselves again. I love that, Brooke. I love that you help people feel like ourselves.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hi.
Thank you. Yes, I love it too. I think it's important for people to, tune back in with their body and really remember how good they can feel and it's available to everyone.
And I want to just say a couple words because we just met like 2 weeks ago at a women's retreat.
Yeah.
And so this was the very first time I had gotten to know you. And I've told you this, but I want to tell anybody who's listening now or later. I was over the top impressed with the way that you so generously shared seamlessly within so many conversations. Like I might be overhearing you, somebody would mention something that was going on for them. And you would just have like, hey, maybe just try this or try that. I loved that. First of all, your generosity was so apparent, like, and just your passion for wanting to help people feel better. I felt like that was such a natural part of who you are. And I can tell you, like, there were numerous conversations that I kind of heard, and I was like, oh my gosh, Brooke is just like this walking. I think I told you, like, I feel like you should be the Surgeon General.
Oh, that's hilarious. I have no interest in being the Surgeon General,
You
but
don't? Okay.
no, no.
All
But I
right.
appreciate the kind words. That's very sweet of you. And yeah, I genuinely love helping people. And I have an insatiable curiosity, which has led me to having a wealth of random bits of information. And thankfully that benefits me for my work and what I do, right? So I'm happy to share that with people.
Yeah. And before we got on today, we were talking a little bit, since I have my recent end of life planner that launched. I've been very, very interested in all sorts of aspects of end of life, including, both the people who are, maybe ill or in hospice or going through end of life, but also just as importantly, the people who are caretaking. And we happened to drive back to the airport together after that event with someone who had recently spent a large amount of time caretaking a dying relative. And so that kind of sparked this idea, Brooke, of like, how can we assist anybody? And of course, this is information for anybody, but I particularly want if there's somebody out there who is caretaking and you want to know how to best care for yourself. I think when I put the title, I was like, self-care for caretakers, because they're notorious for kind of focusing so much on their loved one. Yeah. And so one of the places I wanted to start, Brooke, because I was fascinated with the number of times you talked about water. And wherever you want to go with that, there were so many things that came up around it.
Yeah. I think, and just to piggyback off what you just said, I think from a really basic perspective, when we think of caregivers, it goes back to the old saying, like, you have to put your mask on first so you can help other people, right? So you're only as good as how well you're taking care of yourself to have the capacity to then be able to help someone else. So I think that's important to kind of say at the beginning of this. But water is so important. So our bodies are made up of primarily water, right? And people get really passionate about hydration and talking about hydration. And I have really found over the years that most people are just overwatered plants. Ooh. And the reason for that is when we're drinking water that is what I would call dead or doesn't have minerals in it, doesn't have all those trace minerals and all the things our body needs. The minerals are actually what help us stay hydrated. The water is the delivery mechanism essentially for a lot of those minerals. And so we've gotten into filtering water, which is really important. We do need to have a high quality filter because we do have a lot of things in our water like glyphosate and chlorine and fluoride and different things that we want to filter out. when you filter those out, though, you're also filtering out the minerals. They're going to all go together. So
Wow.
I teach people how to remineralize their water. So you filter, then you remineralize. You can really nerd out and get into structuring your water and all sorts of things. But from just a really basic, simple, get a good filter. I have on my website, which will link
Huh.
a download where you can download a water resource guide that
Oh,
has links to filters that I recommend, and then instructions on how you can remineralize your water. So that I think is essential, because if you're not dehydrated, there's a book, I forget the exact name or who writes it, but it's something along the lines of you're not sick, you're just thirsty, or something like that. And it's really about all the health issues that are correlate with being dehydrated. And again, a lot of it has to do with mineral balance, because if you're dehydrated, a lot of times you don't have the minerals that you need. So,
Brooke,
yeah,
just that. I'm going to tell you something. Like, in fact, I have to have a little drink of water because you're making me so thirsty.
I know.
But
Let's both drink water. I'll drink water.
however, what I did not know until I met you, and this was something that fascinated me, when we were talking at the retreat, at this wellness retreat, I did not know. Like, I just thought, oh, we have a good filter on our water. There we go. Good
Mhm.
enough, right?
Yeah.
Like doing well.
Yeah.
Doing my water thing. But what you're saying, and I really love, again, your generosity that you have a free download so that people can, and again, we'll put that link, but that people can download the resource guide. And so we're gonna filter and then remineralize.
Exactly. Yeah. Because your fridge filter, while that's helpful, it usually has a carbon filter in it. It's just not getting some of those other things that we want out. So it's not that they're bad, they're just is, okay, good, better, best. There's always a different levels of that filter system. So the ones I have all specifically take glyphosate out, which is another conversation, but an important pesticide or herbicide that is pretty ubiquitous in our water
Uh-huh.
system and our foods. So yeah.
Yeah. Should we move on? I think that might be a good like
Yeah.
start. I
Yeah.
think
I
we
mean,
should
I
start.
can nerd out on water for a long time, but I feel like we want to try to hit a few different things. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
do. And because one of the other things that I both overheard you talking about, then I asked you more about, which was this idea of the sun
Mm,
and when to be out in the sun, how to be out in the sun, how that provides for us. So yeah, let's start with the basics of that.
yeah.
Light.
Yeah. So light is very tied to circadian rhythm, right? Our circadian rhythm is our sleep wake cycle. That's how most people think of circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it than just that. You have a master clock in your brain, which syncs up to the light or the dark, right? The light and the dark both give our body signals that give us information. So that light information gives instructions to our body that tells all of our different organs, all the systems in our body, what to do when. So it's kind of like the instruction manual for our
Huh.
bodies.
Huh.
You know, I also do an analogy of if you had an airport, the master clock in your brain would be like air traffic control at the airport. And all your organs are kind of the airplanes and everything going on at the
Ah,
airport. And so when your circadian rhythm is out of alignment, and I'll talk a little bit about how that comes about and what that looks like, it's like running an airport with no air traffic control. So you can imagine the chaos
wow.
happening. So when we go outside, if you think about before we had electricity, um, the light was how we saw throughout the day. We were outside a lot
Yes.
more. We would see by candlelight and fire in the evening. That would be the way that we would see more of those amber colors. And instead, our modern world, we are indoors constantly. We're staring at blue screens all day. We're under artificial lights. We're up late staring at those artificial or those blue screens and under those artificial lights. And that's completely disrupting our whole circadian rhythm. So
Wow.
getting the right light signals at the right times of the day and then getting darkness signals at the right time of the day is how you learn to kind of sync that back up. So the most important thing you can do, if I just give one tip that everyone can start to
Okay.
do, Okay. Sunrise is really, really, really important. So at sunrise, when the sun is between 0 and 10 degrees, we have certain wavelengths of red and infrared light, and that signal is what connects to our eyes, to our brain, to that master clock, and it sets the clock for the day.
Wow.
Yes. So the easiest way to resync that back up is as soon as you get up in the morning, get outside, get the natural light. You want to have naked eyes, which just means no glasses or contacts,
Ah,
because it needs to actually go through the retina of your eye. So if
okay.
you have glasses, it's going to block that. If it doesn't work through the windows in your house, you have to be outside, or at least open the window with a screen. That would work too, but glass
Okay.
will block it. 5 to 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be a long time. It's a great place to start. If you can be out within 30 minutes of sunrise, that's ideal. But if that's really far off from how your morning looks
Yeah.
right now, just get outside as soon as you wake up. You want that first light to be from outdoors.
I love this. I love this. And also, I was just thinking to myself, along the Simply Celebrate lines, like,
Yeah.
what a wonderful thing to combine like that 5 or 10 minutes of standing out. And I'm glad you said that about glasses because I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but standing out and maybe just kind of like silently, like saying to ourselves beautiful things that we see while we're standing out there, or,
Absolutely.
things that we're looking forward to for our day. Like trying to maybe, for me, it would be combining that in a just kind of a gentle sort of gratitude or meditation to
Mhm.
really start the day with that. I love the idea of like, oh, I need to set the clock,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's what you're doing. It sets the clock. It sets your cortisol, helps regulate your cortisol for the morning. I take my water because the first thing I do in the morning is I drink a glass of water, um,
Okay.
and I put the remineralized water, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I do a teaspoon of that remineralized water that you'll see the Soleil that's in the resource guide. And that's the first thing I take that outside, and that's the first thing I do. So I'm hydrating my
Oh,
cells and tuning in my clock. And I love the idea of doing some gratitude or meditation or grounding. This is also a
yeah.
really great time to do some grounding, some putting your feet on the earth, breath work. All those things are excellent to start your day.
I love this, and hopefully, because again, we're kind of putting this conversation toward caregivers, but of course, this is for anybody.
Mhm.
And it could also be that if you're caregiving someone, if it's possible, if they're mobile or if you can, wheel them out, I would guess that this is also incredibly healthy for the people who are also maybe going through hospice or dying process.
Absolutely. This is essential for those people.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I think I mentioned in the car that they used to, back in the day, at hospitals, they would wheel patients up to the roof
Yes.
of hospitals to get light, right? So we've known for a really long time how healing light is and how important that is for our health. And I really do believe that a lot of the core root of our health issues have a lot to do with this circadian rhythm dysfunction that a lot of people are experiencing. So, yeah, starting your day, it helps with mood. It helps to regulate your hormones, your
That's
neurotransmitters.
crazy.
Literally everything runs by this clock. So, it's the most important thing I think that people can start to do.
I think, oh, hi, I'm Breen. Breen's here listening in. It's great to see you. And you know what I love, Brooke, so much about this is it's natural. Like that what you're pointing to is people have known about this for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
And that it seems to me like you're not saying, okay, go get this $200 product to put
Yeah.
on your face, right? You're saying go and turn your face toward the sun,
It's
which
free. Go outside. Yeah. Yeah.
which is also a beautiful metaphor that I use a lot in my own work, turning toward the sun, turning toward the light, which is
Yes.
a beautiful metaphor for lifting our spirits,
Absolutely.
especially when we're overwhelmed, we're caretaking. And I love that you brought in, I had forgotten what you told me about they used to wheel people to the outside of the hospital in order
Yes.
to get sun. And I was
Yeah.
also thinking, like, didn't they have like, you know, was it called a sanatorium? I forget what the names of those. There were places like way, way, way back where people would go to sit by the sea. And I can remember pictures of them wheeling people
Oh,
out to get air and see. And I just feel like it's so healthy.
I believe it. Yes.
Yes.
So important. Yeah. Well, anything in nature, right? Because our nervous system, all these things are also helping to regulate your nervous system, right? We need the right minerals from food and water to help with our nervous system. We need light, the circadian rhythm for nervous system. So all of these things, especially for someone in a really stressful state,
Yes.
these are going to be ways to help regulate your nervous system, help balance the cortisol, which is that stress hormone, right? So make that so it's not, running out of control, right? It's going to help recalibrate that. Grounding, putting your feet on the earth, the
Yeah.
ocean. Yes. Oh my gosh. If you live near the ocean and can get near the ocean, we were near the ocean for this retreat where we met, and it was just heaven. I went down there every single morning and couldn't get enough of it. So sand, grass, dirt, it doesn't matter. Just try to put your bare feet on the ground. It just helps your body discharge from all of the EMFs and 5G and all the technology. So it helps discharge all of that energy, which is called non-native EMF. So it's not natural. It's man-made, right?
And speaking of the retreat, I just saw Candace popped by, and I love that.
Nice.
Hey, Candace, it's good to see you. It's actually because of Candace that I know you, because she introduced you to Aaron, who brought you to the retreat. So I love that she's here, and I also am guessing that we've talked about the water, we've talked about sun. I also have talked to a lot of caregivers, and I know myself. I was telling you just before we started, I know it's very different, but I've got a little dying kitty that my nervous system has been really out of whack because I'm so connected to her, and waking up at night multiple times because I'm worried about her. And again, I know that's very different than if you're caretaking, your mom or someone, your aunt that you've been with for many, many years. However, it's similar. And that the sleep gets interrupted because our nervous systems are out of whack. So is there anything that you want to bring in, or will the water and the sun help us with the sleep?
Yeah. Sleep is a big subject.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that impact sleep, but your circadian rhythm is the starting point of that, because actually when you go out in the morning and you're getting the morning light, that is setting up melatonin production for later in the evening. So they're very much connected. In the evening, we talked a little bit about light environment with sleep. And so not looking at your phone in the evening, thinking about what I said earlier, just about the amber tones. So,
right.
What soft lighting can you do? You can use incandescent light bulbs. You can use, there's blue light blocking glasses. Is kind of a bigger conversation, but I would say not being on technology, really trying to think about your light environment, not having a bunch of bright LEDs that are going to be disruptive. Irina, who was at our retreat, did a really beautiful exercise, really teaching more things about winding down, right? So doing those things to help your body wind down, to relax, can also be really helpful. So it's a big subject about sleep. I would say the big thing is putting the technology away at least an hour before bed, ideally more. And then going outside and getting your circadian rhythm lined up. That's going to really start to help with your sleep as well. There are things like magnesium can be really helpful, especially magnesium glycinate. So a lot of people take that, and that can be really helpful for the nervous system and relaxation in the evening as well. So yeah, lots of different things you can do, but sleep is really, really, really important. Yeah.
This is so great, Brooke. And I know, again, for anybody who's just joining us or just connecting now, I was just so inspired and impressed by the depth of your knowledge when we were on that retreat, because I was around you for a few days. I got to hear these amazing conversations, and I know we're just skimming the very surface, but my hope is that, again, anybody who's listening, but particularly if there's someone who's caregiving right now and they're overwhelmed and they're stressed and maybe having trouble, really taking care of themselves, it seems like these very simple things could go a long way.
Yeah.
And I know that we're about out of time, but was there anything else where you feel like, oh wait, let me just share this last this last important part?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other big thing is if you think about nervous system and stress, another really basic important thing is thinking about blood sugar balance throughout the
Oh,
day. Because when you don't eat, which I think sometimes people get stressed or
yes.
they're too busy or running around, and when you don't nourish your body and you're not um, creating safety. So when we eat regularly and we stabilize our blood sugar, that also
Oh,
prevents cortisol spikes. When you don't eat, your cortisol spikes more. So that's more stress. The body perceives that as stress. So we want to create safety in the body by giving it regular nourishment. And so protein, making sure every time you eat, you're having some protein is really important for kind of stabilizing your blood sugar, your mood, giving you energy, right? This is very energy demanding,
yes.
exhausting for caregivers. So we want to make sure they're giving themselves that nourishment that helps them to have energy throughout the day. And so that would be another, I think, important thing, just to prioritize that the best you can.
I'm personally super glad you said that because I've had just a pile up of losses and grief, and I've been losing weight. I realized that I have not been eating regularly because I'm just like, sometimes, your stomach is just upset just
Yeah.
at the loss and the grief. It's hard,
Yeah.
and when you just said that though, I thought, oh, my nervous system has been so deregulated and I'm not helping it by, like, oh, I just don't feel like eating, but I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying, like maybe trying to find some, especially some simple things that will have some good protein. And
Yeah.
that, again, like I love hearing you say, oh, that might help the nervous system, because then it's like, oh, then my nervous system feels better, and then I'm probably going to eat better, and then I'm going to get, it
Yeah.
feeds itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're really stressed or upset, eating food in that state, it is shutting off. You're in sympathetic if you're feeling really stressed. And so you do have to be somewhat careful because when you're in sympathetic, it shuts your digestion down, right?
Oh,
So yeah. So you can eat food and then maybe have digestive issues because you're too in that stress state. So I think if you are someone who's dealing with a lot of stress, yes, you do need to nourish your body. You need to balance and stabilize your blood sugar. And I would say try to pause and take a moment before you're going to eat. Take some deep breaths, maybe go outside. Try to really bring
mm.
yourself into more of parasympathetic before you try to eat something. You're going to digest that food a lot better. So just being mindful when you're eating is important.
Wow, Brick, that you have so many things to share. I'm so grateful. Oh, and I love Umbreen just said, turn towards the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spiritual
Yes.
implications are expansive. Yes, 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 yes. Umbreen, it's good to see you. And Brooke, I just really want to thank you again, because I know, and I hope that people will follow the link that I give. I'll let them know how to get that PDF about the water. I
Yeah.
think just implementing some of these basic things. I know for me already, I'm feeling like, oh, just those few things might get me to the next place of feeling a little bit more regulated with my nervous system, especially as I go through this impending death with my little kitty. That's really
Oh,
super hard. But it's like whatever we can do,
yeah.
to take care of ourselves while we're taking care of anybody and everybody around us. So
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
been
Those
so,
little things make a difference. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
thank
thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
It was really great. It was really great. And again, I encourage people, if you're watching now or you're watching later, make sure you check the comments where I put the links so that you can find out more about Brooke and the amazing work she's doing. I mean, it's like she just knows so many things about this whole world of health and nutrition and holistic living. I'm so grateful to know you, Brooke. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. It's so nice to see you again. And I'll be thinking of you today with your
Oh, thank
kitty. And yes, I hope you get some peace with that.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again. Maybe you'll come back
Okay.
again and we'll have another
Yeah,
conversation.
I would love that.
All right.
Okay.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Sherry.
Bye bye.
Bye.